A great pleasure and privilege to welcome Professor Yunus, and please give him a very warm Canterbury welcome. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
All yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was very happy to be here in Christchurch. The warm, sunny welcome. It's so lovely outside. I wish I was outside, and I know you want to be outside too. But sorry that we have to spend about an hour or so together, because this is the only opportunity I get to meet you and kind of report to you what's going on with me, what's happening, what are the things that I do. People are curious because they hear the word microcredit. Microfinance is a more popular word, and people want to know more about how it began, what happened to it. First thing I try to explain to people that it was not something that I researched on, that I designed something, lots of thinking went behind it, nothing of the sort. It's just a spur of the moment action. I think the triggering point, I would say, what happened is the desperation. When you're desperate, you do things which you never thought before on the spur of the moment because you had to do something. That desperation was created by the circumstances in Bangladesh. Bangladesh became a new country back in 1971, end of 1971. You remember, Bangladesh used to be part of Pakistan. There are two parts of Pakistan, one on the western side of India, another on the eastern side of India. And somehow they never got along, and that led to the real war between the two parts of the country. And at the end of 1971, Bangladesh became an independent country, came out of Pakistan. So that's when I was teaching in the United States, in one of the universities, teaching economics. I immediately decided this is the time to go home, now that it became an independent country. So that's what I did, and I started teaching in one of the universities in Bangladesh. But all your enthusiasm about liberation, about independence, about the new way of living disappears after the reality starts emerging. And this Bangladesh economy was sliding down very fast. We ended up with a terrible famine in the country in 1974. And here you are, a young teacher, teaching elegant theories of economics. You feel so proud, that's so beautiful. It almost sounds like music. Suddenly you start feeling that you don't have as much enthusiasm that you used to have. And you question the very validity of economics itself. Your voice kind of slows down, your enthusiasm level drops completely. And ultimately you feel like you are a totally useless person. You have nothing that you have learned that which is useful to people. So there's a sense of uselessness which grabbed me. And the famine is right there all around you. And this looks like empty words that you talk about, because this subject cannot solve the problem of the people. What kind of subject I learn? So what I thought, maybe forget about what I learned. This is not going to help anybody. Why don't I just become just like any other human being? As a human being, I can always stand next to another human being and see if I can be of some use to somebody. So that is the kind of search that I was in. Am I of some use to somebody? So one of the ways I tried to do it, the village is next door to the campus, so I would go to the village, which is thousands of years of old village. All the poverty, all the things that you think about Bangladesh is all there. So I said, at least see if I can of some help to somebody, even for a day. So in the process, I see how the loan sharking goes on in the village. I learned a lot about the village, about the people. Loan sharking kind of drove me in a certain direction. And it's so ugly when you see loan sharking face to face. You hear about it, read about it, and now you see it on the real life. How people can be so cruel to each other, grab everything from other people. So you feel terrible and helpless. You can't do anything. All your economics learning had never taught you how to deal with loan sharking. So I felt very bad that I even cannot figure out how to do that. And there is no example that I can follow. So one idea came that why don't I just go ahead and lend the money myself? And the more I thought about it, the more I was convinced that this is the fastest way to get it done. The idea is if I lend the money, the person who is receiving the money, she doesn't have to go to the loan shark. So she is protected from the loan shark. Immediately I'm protecting someone from being a victim of a loan shark. I thought that should be it. So I started immediately, didn't think twice. I started doing that right away. Took money out of my pocket and started lending money, telling people that if you need money, come to me, don't go to loan sharks. I thought few people will come and I'll handle it. It opened the whole floodgate. Everybody wanted to. I didn't realize that everybody needed money. So, and I was happy. I was not upset. I was not worried about it. I was happy that at least I'm doing something which is solving a problem for them. That was the beginning. I wanted to make sure money comes back so that it recycles, it doesn't stop there. Otherwise, it will be one-way thing and I'll be all the money gone and I had nothing to do anymore. So I wanted to make it going. So I started thinking of ideas which will make it easy for people to get back. So that led me to ways. It's now that only one village, the next village, and the next village. So I thought I would rather create a bank to solve the problem. So it was a long story. Finally, it started in 1976. In 1983, we became a bank. And I was very happy now that we have an institution at our disposal. We can do as much as we want. And we did. And another question people ask me, how did you design this bank? After all, it's a bank, and you're working with the people, they're paying you back, and so on. So I tried to answer that. Then I thought this is a better way to explain it than any other way. I said, well, every time I needed a rule or a procedure, how to do the lending and getting the money back, I look at the conventional banks, how they do it. After all, they're in the business for a long time. Since I don't know anything about banking, so I have to learn someplace. So I go and look how they do it. Once I learn how they do it, I just go ahead and do the opposite. And it works. No problem. They go to the rich, I go to the poor. They go to men, I go to women. They go to the city center to work, I go to the villages to work. 40 years later, today, it's 40 years now, 40 years later, we have 2,600 branches all over the country. But not a single branch in any city, any town, anywhere in Bangladesh. All in the villages. So we took it very seriously. We'll never do that, go to the city. And we made a rule right from the beginning. People should not go to the bank should go to people. So we still do that 40 years later, do the same. Today we have over 9 million borrowers in Bangladesh, over 80,000 villages of Bangladesh. That's what the whole of Bangladesh is, 40,000 villages. So our staff go to 80,000 villages within 5 days at the doorstep of the 9 million families to do the business at their doorstep. So that's what the Grameen Bank is all about. Conventional bank asks for collateral. That's the killer. The moment you have this collateral, you are saying goodbye to people. Because most people cannot provide you the collateral that you want. So we dismissed it right from the first day. We never asked how much you got. That question doesn't exist in Grameen Bank. Only question we ask, what would you like to do with the money? That's the only question we ask. We don't say how much money you have, who gets, whether you have a house, whether you have a land, nothing. Simply you and us, your idea and our money. So we dismissed the whole idea of collateral. It's a collateral-free banking. Never ever thought that banking can be done without collateral. This was the biggest departure. That's why microcredit became so well known around the world. Because we defied all the rules. Once you don't have the collateral, you don't need any papers anymore. Because all the thing happened because of the collateral. If you have the collateral, you bring your lawyers. Because they have to inspect and so on, and you have to sign up papers, the lawyers need that. Grameen Bank is the only bank in the world which is totally lawyer-free. We don't have any lawyers. We lent out, last year we lent out over $1.5 billion. No papers. So people get scared. Are you sure you get the money back? My banker friends tell me, do you have a good sleep at night? I said, I have a very pleasant sleep. I get worried about my banker friends. They are losing their sleep worrying about me. For 40 years they have paid back. I don't worry about the next centuries or anything because they are the one, this is part of them. So piece by piece, it's a reversal of the banking system. At one point, some bankers were telling me that what you are doing is absolutely wrong. You are making whole banking system upside down. I said, yes, that's what I'm doing. I said, the whole banking system is standing on its head. So I'm turning it around so that it can stand on feet. So there's nothing wrong with turning it around because if you're doing it around in the first place. So this is how the question gets back and forth and so on. And conventional banks are owned by rich people. If you own a bank, you must be a rich person. Grameen Bank is owned by poor people. All the 9 million borrowers are the owners of the bank. So it's not somebody rich guy owns the bank or me owning the bank. None of this are. Conventional banks are owned by rich people, particularly rich men. Grameen Bank is owned by not only poor people, by poor women. Because all our borrowers are women. Most of them, 97% of them. So you go piece by piece, you see the difference. And that got me to understand the life of the poor people in a very different way because it becomes so close to each other. And you start looking at things around the world. It looks like you have to reverse not only banking system, you have to reverse many other things. When you see from this side, it looks one way. From you look the other side, it looks completely different way. So everything I'm saying today is in that perspective, the way I saw from the other side, how it looks. And as I continue with my work with the microcredit, I saw many other problems. Problem of health. If you are poor in health. It goes together. It's not separate. So I couldn't resist myself without getting involved with it. And I was wondering how to do that. So I came up with a way. And one step after another, which led to many other things. I saw sanitation is a big problem. People have no sense of sanitation because it never existed. So we made a rule. If you want to join Grameen Bank, you have to dig a hole and use it as a pit latrine because you cannot just go out anywhere you want because that spread diseases. In the beginning, they were protesting, why you want to make us that way? It's just much easier this way. I said, yes, but you're spreading diseases everywhere. Those who were already in the bank, they didn't pay much attention to it because they're already in the bank. But they explained to the newcomers. The newcomers always consult with them how to get in, how to get a loan from the bank. So they advise, one of the best advice they give, you better go home, dig a hole first. Because if first thing they are going to ask, have you done that? If you have not done that, they say, go and do it, then come and talk to us. So it became a standard practice. They became our ambassadors, explaining to other people. As a result, Grameen Bank became a bank which has all the families who joined Grameen Bank has a latrine in the home. Then we introduced the sanitary latrine loan so that you can buy yourself a good sanitary latrine. but it's not available in the villages. It's available in the little towns. You have to go a distance to buy it. So what we did, we created a company to produce sanitary latrine in the village. And they give a loan. You take the money to this company. They provide you all the elements of the sanitary latrine and come and install it for you. That's it. So that became a business for us to solve it. But not a business to make money, business to make it easy for people. So we did one after another things like that. We created the health insurance. Very simple health insurance idea. $4 a year to cover entire family for all health needs. And we cover our cost. We have a full doctor in the village, whole clinic, and a little medicine store, and a pathological lab. If you have thousands and thousands of borrowers in the family, in the villages, so if everybody is giving $4, for each thousand you got $4,000, for each 5,000 you got $20,000 and so on. So that's enough to run a clinic sustainably. And people don't miss it, it's only $4 a year. So we build up a whole healthcare program out of it, and sustainably and so on. Along the way, we created a lot of such companies. Some are national companies. And people ask, why do you do that? This doesn't make sense. Business is supposed to make money. I keep saying, is there a law in Bangladesh that if you don't take profit out of your company, you'll be put in jail? I said, there is no such law. So if I decide not to take any profit, I'm not violating any law because I'm creating a business to solve problem. I have no interest in making money. This argument, this statement I have to do probably 1 million times. Still people don't get it because they think business means you have to make money. I said, look, I'm thinking a different way. I said, business is a methodology. You can use it for different purpose. I'm using it to solve people's problem. They said, no, people's problem has to be solved by charity. You give away money. I said, no, I don't want to give away money. I don't want to use the charity route. I see charity is a wonderful thing. People have been helped over years and years through charity. But charity has a limitation. Charity money goes out, does a wonderful work, but it doesn't come back. You have only one-time use of your money through charity. What I'm doing, and you have difficulty understanding, I said I take the objective of charity and put a business engine behind it. And then call it social business. Social business money goes out, solves the problem, and money comes back. And then you can use it again and again and again. It becomes very powerful. I say social business money is far more powerful than charity money because you have only one use. So I'm doing the same thing, but different technology, different methodology. And that idea started flourishing, started doing many more things. I didn't expect that big business companies will be interested in that because everybody says, what you are doing, you are taking away incentive from people. Because profit is the incentive in life. You are destroying the whole incentive pattern of business world. I said, I don't know what you say. You say profit is the only incentive. I understand profit is an incentive, but I cannot accept profit is the only incentive. I said, well, to me, making money is a happiness. That's why you want to make money. Making other people happy is a super happiness. So that's an incentive too. If you can become happy by doing things, that's an incentive. Why do you say profit is the incentive? So you can say only 2 incentives. And that's what I'm doing. I like this incentive, that excites me, that's what I do it. Once I do it, I cannot stop. It's just so intoxicating experience that you want to do more and more and more. Because as I said, it's a super happiness. So no, that's not true. I said, it's not true for you because you've never done that. I said, why don't you just try it out? You don't have to take it for granted what I said. He said, you just try it. If you like it, you do more. If you don't like it, forget it. So that's the question now goes around, what is social business, why do you do it? But I had no idea at that time that big companies will be ever interested in this. Suddenly I see a big company from France, Danone, become very interested. So I wanted to check, what do they mean? Are they really serious? Did they understand what I'm saying? We've gone through lots of conversation. I was very clear that they really genuinely want to do things. So they wanted to have a joint venture with us to create a social business. So I was very happy that they wanted to do a joint venture. We created a joint venture called Grameen Danone Food Company. What is the problem we are solving to that company? Problem of malnutrition among the children. Because Bangladesh has many children who are malnourished. 48% of the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. And it's a big issue. Well, how do you solve that? So one attempt that we wanted to make through social business to create a special kind of yogurt. Danone is a yogurt company, French company. So they have all the skill of making good quality yogurt. All they did now, make this fortified yogurt. Put all the micronutrients which is missing in the children, put it in the yogurt. If you put all those micronutrients in a small cup of yogurt, I bet you it will taste so ugly, you won't go anywhere near it. That is the skill of Danone. They can create any taste they want. They tested with the children of Bangladesh what kind of taste they want. And out of many tastes they have tried with children, they found the one everybody loves. Just put the taste in that. And children really love it. And they eat it. We made it very cheap. When you go into social business, you see your production cost becomes smaller because you don't need the frills. You know, in our business, conventional business, there are a lot of frills involved. Lots of promotion involved, a lot of packaging involved to attract you. We don't have to do that. We go to just basic. Suddenly, your production costs down. And we made marketing in such a way, costs of providing this yogurt to the poor children became cheaper and cheaper for us. So this is what we do. And it became very popular with the children of Bangladesh. I was very taken by the whole idea of technology. I said, technology is coming. That will change the whole world. One opportunity came, I thought I could take this advantage of technology. Bangladesh government was giving licenses for telephone company. At that time, all the telephone used to be a government company. For the first time, Bangladesh government is changed the policy and wanted to give license to private companies. We raised our hand, we want to take a license. Everybody was surprised. Why do you want a license for a telephone company? You are a bank for the poor people. Who needs a telephone for the poor people? I said, we do. We explained, I said, we want to have the telephone to take it to the villages. Telephone are supposed to be for the urban people, rich people. I said, no, we want to take it to the villages and make this telephone available to the poor people, poor women. One official asked me, what is she going to do with the telephone? Who is she going to call? I said, no, she's not going to call anybody if she doesn't want to. She will make this telephone available to whole village so that they can come and make phone calls because there's nobody else with a phone. She is the only one who has the phone. So she will help a monopoly business of telephone service in the village. And she'll make money. They said, you're crazy. This is not going to work. They don't know what a telephone is. They don't know how to push the buttons. I said, yes, that's true. They don't know how to push the button. I said, but there are only 10 numbers in the whole world. If they figure out by pushing these numbers they can make money, they will learn it in 10 minutes. I said, they are poor, they're illiterate, but they're not stupid. They are very smart people. And that's exactly what happened. We rolled out our business. We gave this telephone in the hands of the poor women. It became a roaring business for women. They figured out everything about it. They know what time of your country, where your son lives in the Middle East, he wants to call home. What time is it in the Middle East? What time here? What's the time difference? Advise, don't call him now, he's sleeping now. All this. If I said, if I had told them that it could be one time here, it could be different time there, it could be here, there'll be night there, they will never believe me. Now they are telling everybody that this night there is they are sleeping. So transformed everybody. Very soon, within a couple of years, we had 500,000 telephone ladies all over Bangladesh selling services. And it is a quick road to get out of poverty because they make so much money. Because nobody else has the phone, she has the phone. So everybody has to come, pay her to make a phone call. So this is how we brought technology. And now the company that we built called Grameenphone. Grameenphone is the largest telephone company in the country, even today. There are 6 telephone operators. Grameenphone is the largest telephone, it's more than 50% market share. So you can imagine how big company became. And today, out of 165 million people, we have 125 million telephone subscribers. We were the first country ever, anywhere, to bring telephone in the villages and make it available to the common people at a very cheap price. And that transformed the entire telecom industry for the whole world. Because for the first time, everybody said, hey, there's a business out there. Because telephone was always considered as an urban phenomenon, not the rural phenomenon. So one after another, we brought technology. Then we got into another issue. The young people, the second generation of young people who are in the Grameen families, we gave them education. We gave them education loans to have higher education. They have education, but no job. They complain that there's no job. What do we do? I was thinking what to say. Then I kept saying, why are you looking for jobs? Who told you to have jobs? They got very surprised. Everybody says you have to have a job. Now this guy says, well, who told you? Did your teacher tell you to have jobs? Did your books tell you to have your jobs? No answer. I said, forget about jobs. Job is an old-fashioned idea. I said, human beings are not born in this planet to work for somebody else. Human beings are entrepreneurs. They do their own thing. Job is not the destiny of a human being. This is they misconstrued the whole aspect of human being and pushed you into a situation where you degrade yourself, distort yourself. I said, look at the entire human history. They never sent job applications. And I say, when we were in the caves, we were not sending job application. From cave number 5 to cave number 10. Any job there? Where did it come from? I said, these are flawed thinking of few people. And they have degraded the whole humanity by doing that. In history, started from prehistoric part of it, we are known as hunters. We are known as gatherers. We are known as farmers. We are known as problem solvers. That's what we survived in this planet for. Not by doing job for anybody. How come we forget that? I said, now you go and tell yourself again and again, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. And be a job creator. If you're a job seeker, you feel small. You're at the mercy of another person or another entity. Why should you be at the mercy of anybody in the world? Because as a human being, you have everything inside of you. It's unlimited creative capacity in you. They made you forget that. They made you little robots. Start in a company, let's say, be small, trim off everything that you had, just follow the rules of the company, rules of the office, continue, and spend the rest of your life that way. That's a wastage of your life. You have not used yourself, challenged yourself to do things. I said you are packed with capacities to change the whole world, not just you. So use that, come up with that. Well, saying is one thing, making them do it something else. They said, well, I don't know any business. Nobody told me any business, how to do it. I said, you are a son, you are a daughter of a Grameen Bank mother. Your mother started 20 years back, 30 years back, took a $30 loan, an illiterate mother. never seen outside of her village ever. She never stepped outside her village. If your illiterate mother could take $30 and become an entrepreneur, shame on you, shame on your education. The education which made you forget what your mother did and what is she still doing for 30 years and change your life. You are born there. Why don't you go back to your mother? Learn from her how she did it. If your illiterate mother can do it, you can do it much better because society has given you the opportunity to go to school. She never went to school. And technology, you have technology. Your mother never had a phone. You have a phone now. Your mother has a phone too, but she came to it much later. You started with the phone. So now they said, okay, so we create a social business fund and ask the young people to come with business ideas. And once they come with the business ideas, we invest in their business. We become their partner so that they don't feel nervous about them taking money. If you give them a loan, they get very nervous. I have to pay it back. If I can't pay back, my family has to pay back. Forget it. I said, this is an investment I'm making. I'm your equity partner. It's a venture capital. But with a big twist. Venture capital without the profit motivation. I don't want to take any profit out of you. Your money stays with you. You just return the money that I gave you. That's it. Once you give the money back, it's all the whole business is yours. It's not mine anymore. They'll love it. And we have two principles into it. We said, in our business, the business that we want to make you into entrepreneur, nobody will be rejected. So don't be afraid to ask for it because you'll never be rejected. All we'll do, even if it's a weak proposal, we'll help you, we'll work together to make it a strong proposal so that we can work together because it becomes our project. And so we are with you. And if you fail in business, we'll not abandon you. Nobody is rejected, nobody is abandoned. If you fail, it's not your business fail, it's our business failed. So we work together so that we can bring it out again. So whatever money needs again to do it, we'll work together, make it happen until we are successful. Once you are successful, you gradually return the money that we invested, and that's it. They feel very comfortable. So now thousands of young people come with business ideas. We keep on investing on it. That's it. So that's the way we see it and continue. What worries me for the future? Wealth concentration. The way wealth is getting concentrated in few hands. More and more we do try to help people get out of poverty. On the top, we see all the wealth is getting to the fewer and fewer hands. Today, 1% of the population of the entire world owns 99% of the wealth of the entire world. 1% owning 99%. If you reverse it, 99% of the world own only 1% of the wealth. If you take the bottom 50% of the population, they get a very small fraction of that 1%. If you take the bottom 25% of it, it is such a small fraction you need a magnifying glass to see it. So that's a system now working. This year it was announced that 8 people in the world own more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population. Simply 8 people. And I kept saying, this is not a sustainable world that we have, and it's getting worse. And I call it ticking time bomb. I said, any time it will explode. We don't know where that explosion is taking place, how it will take place. Sometimes you see the symptoms, like I read the symptoms in Brexit. Politicians using the idea that, oh, you feel frustrated, you're not having money. The East Europeans are coming to our country and taking our jobs. That's why you're poor. It's not the East European coming. It's a sucking of the whole wealth to the top. That's why they don't talk about it. They talk about East Europeans. So we must get out of European Union so that they cannot come out to us anymore. As if that is the solution. That is just the reverse part of it. So they have the Brexit. And you use the same logic, same way, to the United States. They want to build a wall so that nobody can come in. And this is a kind of giving a wrong politics completely. And we got victims of wrong politics. And how many ways this will show up in future, we don't know. But definitely it's not going to be a very happy one, the outcome that we come. So we have to prepare ourselves how to undo that system. reverse the system. I was just telling you in the beginning that we create a bank which works exactly the opposite way. And it works for the people the other bank cannot work with. Because when you do the reverse, you get to the new people. So maybe we have to reverse all the procedures that we have, financial system that we have, concepts that we have. Once you reverse it, then probably we'll start having all the wealth all over the place so that everybody has a share in it. That's the challenge to us. And I keep talking about 3 zeros. That's the kind of destination that I want to reach. Zero number 1 is zero poverty. No reason why anybody anywhere should be a poor person. There's nothing wrong with the person. Poverty is an imposed phenomenon. It's not a self-created phenomenon. It came from the system that we built, creates poverty. So if you change the system, redesign the system, nobody will be a poor person. So this is the challenge that we have to take, make a world zero poverty. Next is zero unemployment. Again, unemployment is an artificial concept because you are asking the people to do something which you were not designed for. As a result, you create all this problem. And I keep saying that how can a young person sit around and doing nothing? People will say, is he sick? He's not sick. Simply system put a spell on him. He doesn't move. Otherwise, how can a young person with all the knowledge, all the creative power, all the technology in his or in her hand not do anything? And we are at fault because we made her believe that. And governments are at fault because government says, okay, you don't do that, I'll give you the money. That's not the solution. Human being is supposed to express their creativity. Human beings are not born to be fed by somebody else. That's not a human life. That's a distortion of human life. So we have to get back that yes, we are a human being. Our challenge is to unleash our energy and creative capacity. So in that, we can create a world with all the people are entrepreneurs. If you all are entrepreneurs, there is no question of unemployment. Because nobody's looking for employment. How can you have unemployment? If you're not looking for employment, there is no unemployment. Third one, zero net carbon emission. You're familiar with the whole thing. World is in real danger. Now it became more dangerous because when Paris Agreement was signed after 40 years of a struggle, I thought finally we came to a level that we can start moving things together. Then something happens. Donald Trump gets elected. First thing he says, those whole climate thing is a hoax. Second thing he says, I will scrap all the climate decisions made by Obama administration. So we are back to square one again. How to undo those things, what people, wrong politics can say. How do you resist that wrong politics so that we can move on with our world, so that we can make it a safer world. So these are the 3 zeros should make us drive and so on. So I hope we can make the world which will be a safe place, which will be a world without any poverty, which will be a world, the word unemployment will become unemployed. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you hugely
for
the great clarity of thought and practicality of purpose that you've given us tonight. Maybe it's just because it's close to dinner, but I have to ask what flavor the yogurt was.
There's only one flavor, natural flavor.
So what flavor?
Natural flavor.
Natural flavor, yes. Good. I was worried it was going to be chocolate or something.
No, not chocolate.
That's good. Sorry, that was a frivolous question. Please, are people logging on to Slido? Yep, good. So get those questions coming. So you'll see them on the screen, and I'll see them here too. And in due course, I'll also ask for a show of hands so Kyla can get the microphone. But perhaps I'll just sit Kyla down for a few moments before we get into microphones itself. Actually, the technology is so wonderful. Mine's not working, so I'll look at. So I don't want to get too far away from you.
Okay, I'll focus on
keep an eye on the screen here. Let me start at a very big point, though. You've had a fabulous career for 40 years from a grassroots basis up. But I think one of the biggest things you're suggesting about our whole approach to life is reversing realities. So you can do that from the grassroots up. But when we look at the scale of poverty and unemployment and the carbon challenges in the world, do we also need to do some big things from the top down these days? And if so, what might those be?
No, there are a lot of big things. One, you have to change the law of banking. Because today, the banking law is actually a law to create bank for the rich. And bank for the rich don't care for the poor. They are not able, they don't have the capacity and technology to work for the poor people. So we need a different kind of bank, which is the reverse of the other bank, like Grameen Bank. But that needs a legislation to create that bank. Today, that bank cannot be created. Only banking license you get is the traditional one to create bank for the rich. So that's a big step to make and so on. Second big decision you have to take that, yes, it's very important to take care of the people who are in distress, who don't have income, and you extend the welfare for them. That's good, that's commendable. But at the same time, you have to take another decision, which is a much important decision, that you will make every effort to help them to be natural person again, so that they can take care of themselves, not keep them ever and ever into welfare. Welfare is a temporary home. That's not a natural thing. It's like a refugee. Refugees come, we take shelter. So refugees, if they become year after year, then that's not something that we would like to do. They should be part of the society, integrated into the society. No more refugee status. But we are doing it for the welfare people. We give them a special status so that government money should be taking care of them. So we have to make very clear policy and also arrangements so that we can help them get out, not forcing them, not suddenly cutting it off, helping them so that they can step outside and breathe normally again.
But is this a banking model that could work for financing big projects, whether it be infrastructure, or is there a role for jobs in the sort of economy you imagine? So it's not entirely about self-employment, but it's about creating good employment in more complex businesses that can deliver a sophisticated technology or service.
Let me see if I understood your point. If you're thinking social business has to be a small business, that's not true, because Grameen Bank is a big company, it's a big business. It's with 9 million borrowers, a nationwide operation. We could have an international operation too, but we decided not to go for international operation. Then you look at the one that I just gave you, the example of Grameen Danone, which is, again, a big company doing big things. It could be global. Malnutrition is not only a problem of Bangladesh. Now that they learned it in Bangladesh, they started the whole thing in France itself. Huh. So because there's malnutrition in France also. So you can be as big as you want. It's a question of your capacity, your availability of facilities and so on. So it could be a massive program. Telecom industry, as I said, it could have been a social business too, although right now it's not a social business, because a big partner of Grameenphone is Telenor of Norway. So they want to make money. That's why we couldn't convert it into social business. Original intention was to convert it, to create it as a social business. So it's not the size, is an idea. And if you take the example of you can create a company to get the unemployed people out of unemployment, that's your social business. How big it will be? It will be a global business because there are so many unemployed people all over the world. So it's not the size, it's the idea. It starts small, but its outreach is global. There are many companies, like one of the big things that we do is in Haiti. Haiti lost all its forest because poor people go up the mountain, cut the tree, and make into charcoal, sell it to the city folks because they want to cook with charcoal. There's no other cooking fuel is available. As a result, whole Haiti emptied the whole forest. Today, only 2% of the forest left in Haiti. So since we work in Haiti, one of the things that comes to my attention again and again, and I keep saying that is in the next 5 to 10 years, this 2% will disappear. So it will be totally empty. Before it happens, why don't we reforest entire Haiti? So now we have a big company called Haiti Forest. A lot of big investments in there. Our goal as a social business to reforest entire Haiti. So it's a question of what is the challenge that you have in front of you, what design of the business you have. It could be as big as countrywide, it could be as big as global. No problem with that.
So indeed, the first question we got up there, which has got a lot of support, is can microfinance expand globally and compete with the leveraged financial model?
Today, there are many NGOs do that all over the world. And there are programs in New Zealand also. There are programs in Australia. If you add up all the microcredit borrowers, it will be just over 300 million people who have access to microcredit program. But again, it's done by NGOs. It's not done by the banks. Banks do that very small as a kind of public relations and things like that, or do it at a completely different purpose. Some banks do it, for example, they call it microcredit, but actually give loans to consumption loans, to buy refrigerators.
Yeah.
That's not what we mean by microcredit. Our microcredit is for income generating purpose. Use the money to generate income so that you can have better income and pay back the loan out of the income, not have a debt burden by taking something, consumption loan that you have. Probably you don't need or you cannot afford. Then you get into trouble for that. So anyway, it's possible. It's only a question of designing that institution. If you now give the license to create bank for the poor, I'm sure there are lots of banks will be created to do the job in the same way that we are talking about.
Yes. So when you founded Una's Social Business in 2011 with Saskia and Sophie, was that a change of business model or an attempt to to apply it in different ways?
No, it was not change. You see, just like I'm speaking here, I was speaking at one time, out of many times, one time I spoke in LSE, London School of Economics. I had no idea who was listening, but one girl attending that, she was just fresh graduate. It got into her head that this is something I want to know more about. So she attended another lecture that I was giving in Berlin, and she got more convinced that this is what she wants to do. So after the lecture, she approached me. She said, I like this. How do I get involved with this social business? I said, okay, it's easy. We have an organization in Germany called Grameen Creative Lab. So I introduced her to the Grameen Creative Lab. I said, they are working here. So why didn't you get in touch with them? So they both met, and she says, okay, I'll join you. So she joined. In the meantime, she finished her LSE graduation, and she joined Boston Consulting Group as a consultant. She left the job with the Boston Consulting Group and joined this Grameen Creative Lab. And her friend, who is her roommate, she was also working with her in the Boston Consulting Group. Both of them joined. After a while, she said, well, this Grameen Creative Lab is a promotional company. We really want to do the work on the ground, not just promote ourselves. So I said, what do you want to do? I said, can we create a new company? I said, go ahead if you want to do that. Can we use your name? I said, if you're following the principles and so on, I'll be happy to let you use that. So they named their company as Yunus Social Business so that people immediately understand what they're doing. And now they work in 7 countries. Haiti is one, that's what I'm explaining. That's what their work is. Haiti, Brazil, Colombia, Albania, India, Uganda, Tunisia. These are the countries they're working.
But clearly, you're very interested also in how these models and principles work through in developed countries and developed economies. So, in terms of a country like New Zealand, do you have some sense of where opportunities might lie for social business?
I'll just give example what happened in the past. In early 90s, no, not early 90s, it's 2005 or 2007, when Danone got involved with Bangladesh, HSC, which is a business school in Paris, they became very interested. They created a chair on social business so that they can teach social business in their school and so on. And then they came up with an idea to bring all the top CEOs of big French companies together, kind of bring association of big CEOs, called it Action Tank, Social Business Action Tank. This is a kind of twist of the word of think tank. Instead of calling it think tank, they call it Action Tank. All these CEOs will be meeting occasionally every 3 months and so on, discuss a design of a social business which will be done through their own company for France. Now, there are companies like Danone, Veolia, Sodexo, and Renault Nissan, and many other, Essilor. These are the companies who make up the Action Tank. And their job is, they have been doing it, creating social business in France. So it's not for another country, it's solving problem in France. So if you talk about New Zealand, companies can get together, say we will create a social business on the side. Now, tomorrow, Lincoln University will set up a Yunus Social Business Center, so they can get connected with them and see why can't we solve a problem here. See, this is one way to just look at it. You don't have to rush immediately to find it out how it is done. And we hold an annual event, like in Bangladesh, we hold a Social Business Day. Next Social Business Day is coming on July 28, 29. Some of the top officials of CEOs can come and attend that. Many CEOs from other countries will come to start social businesses in their own countries and learn from each other what they already have done. French CEOs will, all their representatives will attend. So find out why are you doing that. Now India has already created an action tank in India, bringing Tata Group, Mahindra, and other big businesses to create social business along their parent business. Next one is coming out in Brazil. So Brazilian top companies are getting together to create social business because all businesses feel they are coming up with serious problems in future, as I was explaining, the wealth concentration, and people will accuse them. What is happening to our money? Why is it going in one direction? It's not coming towards us. So they want to prepare themselves that they cannot be accused because they are already helping people to solve their problem rather than be accused of creating problems.
And indeed, here in the Social Enterprise World Forum here in Christchurch in September, there is a strong corporate social business strand to the conference. So it's going to be very exciting to see how that works through.
Absolutely.
In Bangladesh and in other countries, is the focus still very much on rural populations, or have you been able to take these models in later years into cities as well?
Well, when you talk about social business, it doesn't have a rural or urban. It's a problem. You are solving problems. So we are driven by problems in the rural areas most of the time because they are the one whose poverty is very high in the rural areas. So we go to the rural area. Wherever the problem takes us, we go there. When it's a forestry, we are not going to urban, we are not going to rural, we're going up the mountains because that's where the problem is. When it is plastic is a big problem. Now we have about 0.8 million tons of plastic going on into the rivers and oceans. So how to stop that, how to recycle that, because plastic is clogging our rivers, plastic is clogging our canals, and there's a big dump of plastic, and the whole big ocean is created of plastic in Pacific. So how to undo that? So that will take us to wherever the plastic is, how to recycle them, how to recover them and reprocess them, recycle them, and make it biodegradable so that it doesn't go into the filling up the earth fields and so on and so forth. So it's biodegradable and it's absorbed within the earth that we have rather than clogs up everything else. So wherever the problem is, we do. If it's the unemployment problem is everywhere. It's a rural, urban, everywhere. So you can do that. If it's a welfare problem, welfare people, wherever they live, whether they live in the rural area, urban area, doesn't matter. If it's a healthcare for everybody. So wherever the problem is, you go and set it up for yourself and make it happen.
Let me turn to the top question we've got, because these are ranked with people sort of voting to move the questions up. If you never asked for interest or profit on your loans, and it's impossible that you had 100% return on your loan account, how did you grow your lending capacity?
We charge interest, of course we do.
You are charging interest, yeah.
Grameen Bank earns profit every year, and the profit goes back to the borrowers because they are the shareholders.
Right. And you were able to also raise more capital, equity capital? Or?
We don't need to.
Right.
We have so much money. Our problem is having too much money rather than less money. Because we are a bank, so we take deposits, and a lot of people bring their money to keep it in with us. And the money that we mobilize through deposit sometimes far exceeds the loan that we give out. And currently, interesting thing is, even the borrowers, they have their savings account with Grameen Bank. They save every week. This is the culture of Grameen Bank, that every borrower has to have a savings account. Every week she has to put something in her own savings account. Last year we lent out over $1.5 billion as loans, but the total savings of the borrowers in the bank is more than or nearly $2 billion. So again, you have more money from the borrowers alone, forget about the other depositors. So we never had a shortage of money in the Grameen Bank. That was not a problem at all.
And the interest rate is very modest.
Interest rate is?
The interest rate charged is very small.
It's not very small, it's quite high, if you look at from the New Zealand thing, but from the Bangladesh commercial side, it's not too much away from the commercial bank interest rate. So that's it. But people pay, and people don't mind it, because when the bank makes profit, profit comes back to them. So this is not somebody taking away our money.
Yes. There was a question earlier that's gone off the screen, but I'll ask it anyway.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered establishing your own currency?
Do to what with the currency?
Yes, a Grameen currency,
or
a social currency.
Well, soon probably you will not any currency, so you wait for that. When
Right, yeah. This would be very helpful. Thank
that's
you.
much easier.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. You got that one. I've got this one. That's much better. Thank you.
That's it.
Now I can get much closer.
Now you got it.
This feels more like a chat at this point rather than a crick in the neck. But there is a great question here about your early life and how this has affected or how it shaped your view of the world. I mean, you described very movingly what it was like as a very well-educated economist, and in that famine in 1974, you realized that this just wasn't working. But were there some other elements about your life that sort of shaped your view of the world?
Well, I keep seeing things in a different way, and I keep raising that question for people to understand. Like I raised the question, why can't the financial institution be redesigned so that everybody has access to financial services? Even a homeless person will have access to financial services. A beggar on the street will have access to financial services. Mm-hmm. Because to me, financial services is like the oxygen of people to build up their economic life. If you don't have that oxygen available, you can't have an economic breathing done. You cannot function yourself. You become weak, incapacitated. So the moment you give this oxygen available, you become strong, you start doing things, you're perfect. You can take care of yourself. But we have built a world and the financial system in a way, more than half the people on this planet has no connection with that financial oxygen. That's the danger part of it. So I raised question. I said, how can you do it? In the beginning, they used to say, people are not creditworthy. Poor people are not creditworthy. And I reversed the question. I said, is it proper to tell people that they are not creditworthy, or people to tell you that you are not people-worthy? It's a very simple thing.
Which I think leads on to one of the questions here, which is, with your telephone network, why was it you decided it was the women that should have the phones and not the men?
Has he ever asked the other companies, why is always the men, not the women?
But is there something there about the women locking on to the or responding better to the ideas and being, to be frank, I say this as a man, being more reliable than the men?
Yes, they are more reliable, that's true.
I thought that was probably the answer, yeah.
Yeah, that's where our system changed. Initially, we were trying to make 50-50. 50% women, 50% men, because I was accusing them, all the banks in the country. I was very nasty to the bankers. I was saying, you are absolutely wrong, because you deny the access to the financial resources to the poor people. Mm-hmm. And that's why poverty continues. So this was a very direct attack on them. And then I added something. I said, you also deny access to credit to all the women of the country. Even the richest women do not have access to your bank. So all the banks got very nervous about it. They said, no, they protested. This is not true, because we give everybody, if they have the right qualification to receive our funds, we do that, so we don't deny anybody. I said, you do. They said, no, it's never, it's impossible. I said, yes, you do. Your rules are like that. I said, if a woman comes with she may be a very rich woman, she has a beautiful business proposal, she brings it to your manager looks at her business proposal and asks, have you discussed it with your husband? Yeah. And she says, yes, I have discussed. Does he support it? Yes, he supports it. Why didn't you bring your husband next Monday? Let's discuss about it. I said, did it ever happen in the history of Bangladesh banking that a man brought his proposal and then manager says, have you discussed with your wife? Why don't you bring your wife along so that we can have a discussion? I said, that's where you go wrong.
And to what extent do you think you've changed those gender and patriarchy stereotypes in your own culture?
We did within our culture of Grameen Bank. I have not been able to change the culture of the conventional banks. They live in another world. Yeah. But here, we achieved that 50-50 after a lot of struggle. It took us 6 years to make it happen. Then we start noticing money going to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. Women took very good care of the money that she got. She wanted to get the best mileage out of it. She wanted to see that her work kind of builds up the future, particularly future of the children. Men didn't show such kind of indications at all. They wanted to enjoy themselves right away rather than wait for tomorrow. They wanted to enjoy with their friends rather than with the children, so on. So we saw that very clear distinction between the impact of the money on the family through women and through men. So once we are very sure about it, we said, forget about 50-50. Let's focus on women. And that's what we did. Now we do Grameen Bank in the United States for the last 8 years. This is called Grameen America. And we have nearly 100,000 borrowers in Grameen America in 19 cities, 19 branches in 11 cities. New York has 8 branches, Los Angeles 2, San Francisco 2, Omaha, Nebraska 1, Charlotte, North Carolina 1. In 11 cities, 19 branches, and about nearly 100,000 borrowers, 100% women. So we have not even opened up for another man. So this, and which works beautifully. Its repayment record over the last 8 years is 99.5%, never fell below it. So that's how it works.
There will certainly be still plenty of women to develop the business model with, but I think, will you at some point try to work out how to turn men around?
Yes, we do. And then we said, look, we are not saying we will not give money to men. Simply we are saying women will be the representative of the family. If her husband or her son or her brother wants to take money, they can take money, but through her. She will be the person who will be bringing loan money for them, and she will be the one who will negotiate with the bank. So that's a feature we skip. We are not denying men. Simply, we make the woman as the representative of the family.
Just going back to Bangladesh, there's a terrific question here of the climate change one. Obviously a very low-lying country, sea level-wise, and the sort of estimates of perhaps 30 million people in quite short order being washed out of their homes and livelihoods by sea level rise. How does social business start to develop that or make progress on that when those are phenomenally big? Classically, traditionally, those would be phenomenally big government infrastructure and economic issues that you're trying to tackle.
Yeah. First of all, climate change is not something Bangladeshis are creating for themselves. Somebody else doing it, and we became the victims of it. So we have to go back to cure it there with social business, not here, so that they can fix their life there, so that they become environmentally conscious and responsible and so on, and help new designs of the businesses and social businesses trying to protect the environment, those kind of things, so that we don't harm the people in Bangladesh or any such island countries. Malta, for example, I'm sure in the Pacific Islands you have many such island countries which are threatened by the global warming and the sea level rising and getting under the water. So we have to do it in a much more global way than just a local thing. Local is adaptation and so on. How do you survive? These are small things. You have to do it, but doesn't solve. You create problem. When you have a flood, when you have a faucet which gives water inside the house, you don't clean the water. You turn off the faucet first before you do that. So we are after the faucet than the water right now.
Indeed, Paris negotiations in 2015 were very exciting for all sorts of reasons. One of them was that was the first time that the likes of the small island nations got a really strong hearing, and it's taken them decades to get there. And that very much lay behind the 1.5 degree centigrade goal. But I think there still is a very strong sense that we need to not just mitigate our emissions, but also adapt. Sea level is going to be rising, and though that's not the fault of people in Bangladesh and other countries, you will be bearing the brunt of that early sea level rise. So again,
we see that in Bangladesh. We are the frontline country suffering because Bangladesh is a very flat country. Bulk of Bangladesh, at least 1/4 of Bangladesh, is about less than 1 meter above the sea level. So it's a kind of you have a half a meter above sea level, 1/4 meter above sea level. When the water level rises, the 1/4 meter above the sea level slides into the ocean. So do that. So you try to protect yourself. Only one way, you move into higher land, 1.5 meters probably. We don't have a high ground at all, so it's an absolutely flat land. That's not a solution at all. So soon what you'll see, the climate refugees coming all over the world, trying to find a shelter for themselves. That's not a good solution either. So we have to see how to make sure that we don't encourage the global warming by doing the things that we continue to do, how to quickly stop that global warming.
In less than 6 months, we've got an election here in New Zealand. And so what are some of the best pitches that we can make to our politicians for policies and support and the like for social business here in New Zealand?
Oh, several things. You can engage, you can encourage the private sector businesses and so on so that they can create social businesses alongside their businesses, can do that. Or also encourage the private sector businesses to use their CSR money to put in a social business fund rather than just give as a charity, write a check to give it to somebody. So that's another one. And also for government to pay attention to the unemployment issue, how to get the unemployed turned into entrepreneurs. It's possible. We can try it out. This is a project that we can take. And also how to get the welfare people happily coming out of the welfare and saying thank you to the government. Yes, you did a great job. Now I'm out, I'm free, I'm out of the prison. I don't have to stay there. Those kind of things. These are game-changing ideas that you have to adopt. You don't do it in a big way, but you recognize, first of all, that yes, human being has the ability to become, has basic ability to become entrepreneurs. And the first day they will say, no, I don't know what a business is. But doesn't mean he or she is not an entrepreneur. Simply he forgot, because system has made her forget that he or she was an entrepreneur. So it takes a little bit of time to find the encouragement. So you start small, gradually by demonstrations you attract others. If I see my friend is already running business, I said, why? He's doing that. I can do it better than that. Then I get into it. So that's kind of new reverse kind of system starts working. So those are the things that you can see. Definitely creating a law to create the bank for the poor will be a great thing to happen. So this is, financial system is the key to all the transformation that you want to take, whether it's investment, whether it is credit in every single direction.
I know from using Slido once or twice before, when there's a little buzz from the audience, they're seeing something on the screen that I'm not.
You got it.
So what is it that's causing the ripple in the room here?
You know it.
Samantha's question is how? Yes. Where is Samantha's question? Samantha, this is your moment in the sun. Oh, look, we're going right up here for Samantha. There's Samantha Jones.
Okay.
Okay, no. Oh, no.
Okay, she can ask herself. Yeah. Hi.
Leadership positions at the bank are held by women?
I didn't get.
Sorry. What percentage of the top leadership positions at the bank are held by women?
In Grameen Bank, you mean?
Yeah.
Very few. Very few. Yeah.
Is there any?
In total, Grameen Bank, total women in the staff will be about 8%.
This sounds like you found some very responsible men. Or how do you explain this to yourself, that you are dealing mostly with women, but you put the men in charge of the bank?
Yeah, because we could not retain the girls, because our work is, as I mentioned, that our basic principle is people should not go to the bank should go to people. So all our staff, we have 25,000 staff, going out to the 80,000 villages within 1 week, and delivered the service to the 9 million borrowers at their doorstep. So we recruit in a high number the women, but their families get very upset when they see their woman is going from one village to another village and moving around. They are not sitting in the office. For them is okay, but ours is not a sitting in the office. Our job is to go and deliver things. So we cannot retain them. Very soon, first of all, when they are unmarried, if they are joining the bank at the beginning, when the marriage situation comes, they say, no, I can't get married if she's running around in all the villages. So she stay home. So she drops out. And if she gets married and still in Grameen Bank, and then when the first child is about to be expected, and then everybody says, no, you stay home, forget about it, you can't do that. So again, in-laws' families are very protective to keep her at home rather than so the kind of social norms come in the in the work of the women, young women particularly. So we keep losing the women, so we can't keep them. They come and they stay, then go disappear. So we keep on trying, but still we have not succeeded in doing that.
Are you having some success with some women in terms of being able to bring them up in through
Oh
the
yeah,
organization?
8% that we are saying, very tough. After I came out of Grameen Bank, the first one who became the managing director of Grameen Bank following me is a woman.
Yeah.
So she was right from the beginning to all the way to the top. She rose from bottom to all the way to top.
Yeah, thank you. Let's take a couple of questions from the floor with the microphone. So if you'd like the microphone, raise your hand and Kyla will be right there with you. Any takers or somewhere over on this side?
Thank you. Sir, you have mentioned that Grameen Bank has had lots of initiative in the last 40 years, from telecom to health and whatnot. Can you tell us about some indicators, that when you started in 1970s, the Human Development Index or poverty line or anything that you can share? This was the status of the masses in Bangladesh, and this is the status. So in a nutshell, how has Grameen Bank impacted Bangladesh?
Well, let me talk about Bangladesh, not Grameen Bank as such. When we became an independent country back in 1971, our poverty line was somewhere around 85% below poverty line. So that's where our starting point. And we achieved the Millennium Development Goal to reduce poverty by half. By the time we are supposed to do it at the end of 2015, we actually achieved that goal by the middle of 2013, 2.5 years before the end point. And we brought down poverty line around 22%. So from 85% to 22%. It's a long way journey that Bangladesh achieved. Our extreme poverty line is now slightly over 8%. So that's another one. And on the healthcare indicators, of all the healthcare indicators, Bangladesh was at the bottom of all the SAARC countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and all that. And gradually Bangladesh moved one after another. Today Bangladesh is at the top of all the 8 countries in SAARC on healthcare. Not that our government programs are one of the top programs, but the things happened within Bangladesh which made the healthcare system, healthcare provided by civil society, individuals, Grameen programs, and so on, all together, made those changes happen and so on. Literacy rate, we have achieved Millennium Development Goals, so made all the people enrolled and so on, education. So out of 8 Millennium Development Goals, we have completed all 6. 2, we came very close, couldn't quite make it by 2015, but we could be doing it by 17. Doing that. So that way, indicators are such that lots of achievements have taken place in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of women empowerment. Bangladesh has become a case study for everybody to see tremendous amount of women empowerment taking place in that country within this last 30 years. What women used to be 30 years back, what they are today, not only urban area, all across the country. So they are very positive thing that the social sector Bangladesh has achieved.
I come from India, and I must say, people say what one man can achieve in his life. You're a great example of that.
Well, I don't claim everything for myself. Thank you. I think it will be too much to attribute everything to me, because lots of young people in Bangladesh work very hard to make these things happen. That's one most important thing that happened. Young people in Bangladesh after independence got so motivated to change their country. They worked very hard and made it happen. So that's, I think, is a big power to mobilize these young people.
Which is a really a lovely way into what very sadly needs to be the last question. You talk about humane capital, which is very much about how this model works in practice. And so from all your vast experience, we've got this terrific question is, what do you think is the most critical ingredient to enable people to work together?
One is to fix up a destination. Where do we want? What kind of world we want? This is very important. So once we agree on what kind of world we want, then we all kind of join hands to build the roads to make it happen. If you don't have a clear picture of what we want to be, it is difficult to build the roads because each one has a different kind of image of the world that you want to bring. So that's a consensus that you want to make. This is where we want to be.
Thank you very much indeed. Very sad.
I think.
Yep.
One more. I know there have been a bunch of bumps and votes for Liana Curso's question. I've been monitoring the conversation at the bottom. Can we just have that top question?
You are in trouble.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yes. I was going to make a signally inappropriate question, a comment about male inability to do two things at once. That's my problem, not yours. What would you do if you were 20 again? And if you want to make a change in the world, what would you focus on, university or business? So if you were 20 again...
Two choices?
Yeah, you've got to choose one. So the first part, if you were 20 all over again, would you go the university route as you did, or would you go the business route that you see working so well?
Well, I guess I feel very extremely happy the way I went step by step, and I felt I did the right thing. I made the right decisions. So circumstances pushed me in the direction, and I went there. I don't know what I will be if I was starting point something else. I don't know, but this one I know, and at least I'm happy that I did the right thing. And I don't regret anything I have done. So if I have to go back to that age again, I'll follow the same route because I said this is the route that gives me a perspective that I want.
Yeah. And how do you keep yourself evergreen in the sense of always open to having ideas challenged or seeing new opportunities rather than just continuing down a path that's been very successful over 40 years? But you've got another few decades ahead of you yet.
I hope so. I would say this way, if you do one of those social businesses and so on, one leads to another. Because in the process of doing one, you find another one. And you want to get into that one too. So one thing leads to another. And it's an excitement after excitement. And it's a non-stop excitement. So I feel that pleasure of this non-stop excitement. I'm doing things and make things happen. And I'm very happy that not only I enjoy doing it, other people watching me enjoy it and want to participate in it. I see very good, warm response from all over the world. They want to get involved, particularly young people. Young people get very excited. That's why university centers are coming out. It's because of the enthusiasm of the young people, young faculty members, young students. They want to do things. They want to look at the world in a different way that they can handle. The others, you have to demonstrate on the street to make the governments to do something. It's something uncertain, you don't know. This, you don't have to demonstrate. You just go and do it. It's at your disposal. It can be done. So that's way. And the one that I was just quoting myself, I was saying, making money is a happiness, making other people happy is a super happiness. That's what I enjoy, the super happiness of it.
Well, thank you. Thank you hugely for coming to share the secret of super happiness by doing incredibly practical things and empowering people to do very practical things. So a very big hand, please, for Professor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.